This conference will now be recorded.
Hello everyone. So welcome to day 4 SAP HANA SQL, which is actually we are actually looking into SAP HANA SQL, which is nothing but SQL native development. So the thing we need to concentrate here is just excuse me, just a second. I have opened the wrong slide. Sorry, I've opened the wrong slide. I'm sharing again. So we are into day 4. We are discussing SQL basics as part 1. So here today the concept which we are going to discuss are ensuring data integrity. So small introduction, and we'll see foreign key dependency with examples and tables, and also what is on delete cascade and on delete restrict with respect to foreign key dependency. And we'll end with these sessions with global versus locally temporary tables and comments and sequence in SAP HANA SQL. So these are pretty much basics, and these are also important concepts that we should aware. So first start with the ensuring data integrity. So ensuring data integrity refers to accuracy and consistency of data. So what does it mean? We have to make sure as a developer, whatever the data which is going to be inserted, updated, or interacting with the data which is being interacted with by user, we should make sure that the data is consistent. So we should have to take care of the dependency between tables, how tables are interlinked, and also we should impose conditions on the way user enters the data into tables. Okay, so we should not allow duplicates. So to ensure this data integrity, we have this concept, right? Yesterday we have seen primary key constraint, unique constraint. Yeah. So there are the constraints that we use frequently in SAP HANA SQL. So constraint is nothing but we can keep conditions on specific columns. Once you have a question.
Um, Constraints, we yesterday we did something else, right? SQL, DML and DDL operations.
Yes, that is also constraint, part of constraint.
Okay.
That's primary key, right? We have discussed only primary key. Okay. So we will say today foreign key and constraint, imposing conditions on a specific columns. And primary key will not allow duplicates and force the user to provide values, and also it takes care of not null constraint. So foreign key is to create dependency between two tables. So we can interlink the tables like parent-child relationship. So we'll see example on specific column constraint, and also we'll see on foreign key. Yesterday we have seen primary key also. Okay. So these are the things that we use to ensure the data integrity for the accuracy and the consistency of data. So we have seen for primary key as well. So we'll see what about what is a foreign key dependency. So as I said, we can create dependency between two tables to prevent users not to make any mistakes. So assume there is a if you take in ABAP, we have a sales order VBAK and VBAP. So these are interlinked with a foreign key relationship with based on sales order ID, right? So when there is a header, we should make sure that there are corresponding rows in there in the item table. That is a dependency. So when user entered a sales order, he must ensure that there are what are the items which are present in that sales order, right? So we have to impose conditions on the user. So whenever you enter a sales ID, we should have a corresponding items in that. So that he will not make any mistakes. So as a developer, we need to take care of this. So how do we take care? Let's take a small example. So I'll take employee table and department table. Okay, sorry about that slide. So in employee table, we have employee ID, employee name, and department number. Where in the department table, we have department number, name, and location. So you see, employee ID is a primary key. Whenever I enter a employee ID, I have to enter to which department he belongs to, right? So if whenever I'm going to make an entry, the departments should already exist in the corresponding table which is linked. I cannot enter a department number which is not there in my organization, right? So in the department number, they'll maintain all the departments which belongs to their organization. So department number is dependent on the table here, which is a check table, nothing but a primary table. So here department table will be a parent table and the employee ID will be child table. Why I call child table? For department number, so for a specific department there can be multiple people working, so number of employees will be more than one, or one employee will be there. So that's why I call this as a parent department number as a parent table. So to make an entry, as I said, for department number in employee table, there should be an existing department in department table, which is a very simple example. So what is a foreign key? As I said, to define foreign key relationship. So we have keys. I mean, what you call keywords called foreign key to define foreign key relationship, and also foreign key with on delete cascade option. Along with foreign key, we can have these options also. Okay, what is we on delete cascade and on delete restrict? So you guys able to hear my voice clearly?
Yes.
Okay. So with on delete cascade option and all delete restrict. So when you delete any row from a parent table, let's say in department number, I have a department. So which if I am going to eliminate the table, corresponding child rows will be deleted. So when there is no department, there is no point in keeping the employees which are in that department. So when I am defining a foreign key by saying on delete cascade, that means it will automatically take care of doing the deletion of childs. So department number is, suppose there is a department number which is outdated. Okay, let's say there are different departments. One department is not at all being used, and they want to eliminate the department, and whoever the employees which are working on that, so they want to shift to different departments. So this, if they think that this department is no longer, so there is no point in keeping the employee entries in the employee table which are belongs to that department. So those entries also should be deleted when they delete department number. So this will be automatically taken care by the system when you mention this option with on delete cascade. So it ensures that the corresponding child rows of the foreign key table gets deleted automatically whenever parent row of the parent table is deleted. Now on delete restrict. So if you just define a foreign key without any option, by default it will be on delete restrict option. So what is on delete restrict? It is a opposite to the delete cascade. When you delete any row from the parent table, system will restrict and it will raise an error that there is a already corresponding entry in a child, so you cannot delete that. Okay, this is opposite to the delete cascade. Okay, this is a theoretically, and we'll see global temporary later. So let me start with foreign key dependency. So any doubts here?
Table,
I will move to.
yeah, first table is working as a parent table, which is employee ID, employee name, and department name with FK foreign key. That is a parent table, correct?
Here department number I will take as a parent table, because for each department there can be multiple employees, right? So my department is
Yes.
on top, so I will take it as a parent. So when you call a child table, because when we have more than one entries for a specific entry, right? So if you
Okay.
take VBAK, VBAP, which one is a parent table?
Uh,
VBAK, VBAP we have, right, in ABAP.
yeah, BBAP is there.
So VBAK
Okay.
is the parent table, which is having a single entry. So for each
Okay.
sales order, there will be multiple sales items which will be in VBAP table. So similarly, department will have one department. For that department, there can be multiple entries. So that will become a child table. Okay. So let me move ahead. Let me open my Eclipse. So yesterday, have you guys any one of you tried on the web development workbench? Mansi, I know Shankar has done. Mansi, have you tried? Okay, were you able to open the web development workbench? Okay, I think you do not have any problem. So Shankar, I think you have that problem. We'll check after this class. Okay, so my system is on. So whenever you see there is no connection to database here, you see at the console tab, under console tab. So that means system is, my console is not yet connected to this system. So what you need to do is, there is an icon, choose connection. If you click here, it will show the which system you want to connect this console. So I will double click here, or I can choose this and click on OK. If you see, then my system will be status will be changed here from no connection to DB to this. Okay. So first I need to make sure I have to set my schema, because I am doing all the database objects under my schema. So I will set this. So I will take an example like we have taken. So I'll create a column store table, which is department, create table. Sorry, I'll make it as a column table. This is how we create a column table. So dept, and so we'll have a dept no, and which is an integer. So primary key and dept name. Okay, I have created this table, and also I will execute this. Select fate. So executed successfully, and also I'll create employee table. I'll say EID, EMP, ID integer, primary key, and EMP name, varchar 30, and a dept no as an integer. So far I have just created a normal table, two tables. So there is no link between these two, right? So I need to make sure that these two tables are interlinked. so that user will enter the department number which belongs to the department table. So here comes the uh, statement of foreign key. So concept foreign key. So what I will do, for which table I would like to create a foreign key here, for which column. So to differentiate, I'll make it as DNO, department number. So if I want to, so for this column, I need to make sure whatever the entries we are inserting should be from this table column DEPTNO. So whatever the values which are in DEPTNO from this table, I should allow only those department numbers here when user entering the data into EMP. So I need to make this column pointing to this table for this column, right? So what I will do, so I'm defining a foreign key on this table, on this column. Okay, so which column you want to define? So we will simply say foreign key this column. So I need to reference this column to the employee column, right? Department table, and the table department and the column DPTNO. So I will say I'm referencing this to the table for which column I want to have DPTNO. So in department table, there is a column DPTNO. Take this column as the reference. So whatever you enter for this department number should be from this table of this column. Simple. So we are defining a for which column you want foreign key and reference to this table and the column name of that table. That's it. So in addition, I will do on delete cascade. That's what I was telling. So I'm with foreign key with on delete cascade option. On delete cascade. Simple. So now I will execute this table. F8. So table has successfully created. Now let me check the constraint tables. Now I have created these constraints. Let me check if these constraints are updated in my constraints table. So select star from constraints where table underscore name equal to EMP, and what is the schema name, and schema underscore name equal to AOH. Let me try if this has the constraints and effect. So what it is saying, could not execute, could find table constraint. Sorry, there is a mistake. Constraints. Let me execute this F8. You see, we do not see any entries in this constraint table. Why? In the sense, constraint table will hold the information only related to let just a second, I have not actually executed this statement set schema, that's why it didn't go to schema AOH. That's why there is no entry for employee. So let me execute this and re-execute all this. Okay, now I'll execute this constraint table. Now I see for this schema, for this table, employee ID having the foreign key, sorry, primary key, but we do not see the information related to foreign key. So where do we find that? So what do we do? There is another table which will hold the referential constraints. Okay, so it will hold the foreign key related constraints here in this table. So constraints will only hold the primary key information and other constraint, whereas referential constraint will have the information related to foreign key. So let me execute this. See, now I can see my employee table and the column department number is having a constraint name which is referring to this department table, and the reference column is DEPTNO. Okay, clear? So this table will hold the information related to constraints, foreign key constraints, referential constraints. Okay, let me write it here. Holds only constraints like primary key. Here it will hold a foreign key. Holds only foreign key constraints. Constraint information. Okay, this is just for our information, just in case if anyone asks like where we can see the constraint information, we can say like, these are the two tables we can find out. Okay, now I have to play with these two tables. So we have to see an example. Let's to check if I delete anything from this department from employee table. If I delete a department number, there should be, if there any a department number with the same number, those rows should be deleted from the EPTNO. Okay, first we'll see that examples. Before that, we have to insert some records. So how do I insert? Insert into DEPT. What is the table name? Yes, DEPT. Values. So we have a department number, let's say 10, and department number sales. So department name sales. So F8. Sorry, there is a mistake. I did not end the single quote. So F8. So I will insert the same like list 10 records so that it will be useful for us. And here I will say HR sales marketing sales. I will keep it sales 3, sales 4, marketing, HR. So let me insert all these records. I will select all this and I'll click F8. So how do I check the entries? So I'll go to my schema, AOH. Let me go to the tables folder. Here we see department table, and right click, open definition. If you want to see what is the type and all, you can see what is the type of table we created, column store. And if you want to see the data, right click and open data preview. So we have all the data info available here. Okay, and one question for you guys. Here we have seen, right, whenever we execute this F8, this is the system generated one, the constraint name which is not in a readable format. So if I want to change this name to my custom name, what is the statement I need to use? No, we have answer is not update. We have to use alter. So whenever it comes to a definition, alter update is specific to data. Alter statements are used to, if you want to modify column name, if you want to change the constraint name, if you want to change the data type. So these are the related to database definition, not the database, related to table definition, not the table data. So we have to use alter statement. So yesterday I have shown you an example, I think. Let me go back. Alter, yeah. We are not, we have to change the value of the constraint name. So here we are not dealing with the direct table here that we have seen here. Okay, this is actually a system table. So we are not changing the value of this here directly by update. We should not do that. Whenever we create a constraint, it will automatically update this table. So, so our job is to change the constraint from the definition level. We're not updating this table. So when we change the constraint there, this column will be automatically updated with your user constraint name that you defined there. Okay, because these are system tables and which are related to the table information, so we do not have control. So what do I do is, if I want to change it to my uh, readable format constraint, I have to do one thing. So first thing I need to do is, since there is already a constraint here, right, this constraint, I need to delete this, because we cannot add two constraints on the same column, right? So what I will do is, first I need to delete this constraint. How I delete? See here. So this is the constraint which is on my table, right? Which table? EMP table. Is it right? Yes. So table name EMP. For EMP table, for the column department number, we have this constraint. So I need to delete this constraint so that I can have my own user defined constraint. So what I will do is alter table. How will I drop it? First I need to mention the table name, drop constraint. This is how you can drop the constraint on that particular table. Okay, so let me execute this. Syntax error. Let me check the syntax. Alter table, employee name, drop constraint, and it should be in double quotes. Sorry.
Nagendra, here do we have like F1 help to see the syntax, or how we can see the syntax?
So let me do that. F1. If you do F1, you will get all the related information, create table and all. You can search here. If I say insert, you can see the insert statement related to this. Okay,
Okay.
you just press F1 or any statement.
Okay.
So now I have dropped this constraint. I have mentioned the constraint name because it is specific to definition. We have to mention in a double quote. It is not a value. Okay, so I have mentioned in a double quotes. Now what I will do is, if I go back here, if I try to again execute this, I don't see any information. So my referential constraint is no longer available. Previously we used to have this. Now I need to add my own constraint. So how will I add? So alter table.
Alter table.
emp. So add constraint. What I will say, my f key, foreign key. Okay, so which is between emp and dept. Okay, this is my constraint name. So foreign key, so for which table, so for which column, this is the column. References, so same thing we are mentioning here, whatever you mention we will mention the same here. References, dept and dept and more. I will say on delete Cascade. Okay, so for time, okay, I will do F8. So now I will execute this statement again. Let me check this. Now I have my own constraint name, which is my foreign key emp dept on this table of this column, referencing to this table and this column. Okay, adding custom constraint. I will say user defined constraint. This is how we drop in a constraint. So once we insert the information, now I need to insert the data into employee table also. So insert some records into emp table. So I will say insert into table emp values. How many columns are there? 3. Employee id, emp name, dno. I will say employee id as 1, as Ravi, and the department number 10. I will insert some records. What I will say, I will make this department as 20 and this one as 30, this one as 20 and 80. Change the employee IDs and the names. Okay, let's keep these records as it is. So now we'll execute all these at a time. Let me check F8. I think there are some mistakes, incorrect syntax near this one. Employee ID, employee name, department number. So what is the mistake that we have done? Insert into table emp values Ravi. So let me read this error. Could not execute insert into table emp values. Syntax error. Line number 1, column 19. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Do you guys see any error here? Let me know if I'm missing something. Let me execute this one alone. F8. Insert into table EMP. Sorry, you should not mention table. That's basics. We just have to mention the table name by. I was thinking somewhere. Sorry. So now if I execute all this, I can do F8. I know SQL is little painful. You'll not get syntax errors. That's the problem when we do a syntax check. Okay, now let me. So if I see the employee data, open preview. So these are the data that we have available. So I have mentioned the department number. So our main aim is to see the data on delete cascade in reality. So on delete cascade, what it will do. So when you delete any row from a parent table, the corresponding child rows will be deleted. So let me put that into practice. So if I look at department table, we have department number 10. So how many employees are there for department number 10? 1, 2, 3. Sorry, only 2 employees are there. Let me take 20 then. 20 employees. Department number 20. We have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 employees are there. So when I delete this department number 20, and I should not see the employees which belongs to 20 years. So it will automatically delete because of on delete cascade option. So what do I have to do is I have to delete from table from department number. Then I should check at the employee table if they are deleted or not. Okay, delete DEPT 20 to see if on delete cascade is applied. So I will delete from DEPT where DEPT-NO equal to 20. So is that the right column name? DEPT-NO. Yes. So now I will execute this one. Let me check the table name. It's DEPT. Let me execute this F8. So it is executed successfully. Now I will go back to this department table. So 20 I have deleted. Let me execute, refresh this. So 20 is gone. Now let me check. Here we have 4 entries with this. Let me see if they are deleted or not. Yes. So on delete cascade worked. So the employees which are related to department 20 are being deleted here. Okay, this is about on delete cascade. Now we have to see on delete restrict also. So what on delete restrict is, when you delete any row from a parent table, system will restrict the user to, and it will raise an error since there are corresponding rows in the child table. Here it will allow and it will delete automatically. But if you have on delete restrict, what it will do, it will stop you from deleting because there are already entries existing in department table. So what I will do is I will drop the constraint, the same constraint which I have created, and I will add the constraint with on delete cascade. So let me check if this work, or else I will create a new table. Okay, delete for your key constraint. So order EMP drop constraint. What is my constraint name? My F key. So what is the name? my f key emp underscore emp underscore dept. So I'll execute this. So I have dropped the constraint. So let me go back and check if it is dropped or not. Okay, I'll do F8. So I see there is no constraint now. So what I will do is I will add another constraint which will show with option on delete restrict. So what if I mention just like this? If I do not mention on delete restrict, I just create a foreign key on this. Can anyone tell me? So how it will take if it is a delete cascade or delete restrict? So if I do not mention anything while you are creating foreign key, here also where you do not creating foreign key, if you do not mention, as I mentioned earlier, if you go back to my slide, so by default it will be on delete restrict. Even if you do not specify anything while creating a foreign key table, by default it will take it as a on delete restrict. But I will, for our visibility, I will mention here on delete restrict. So F8. I will again fetch the information. F8. Now I see in my new constraint which reference into which is restrict update rule restrict rule. Here it is showing it as a restrict. So now I will go back to my table. Now we'll see example on delete restrict. On delete restrict. So what on delete restrict will does, if you try to delete a department number which already existed in employee table, which will not allow. Whereas in all delete cascade, it will delete it and also delete corresponding rows. So what I will do is now I will try to let's check in employee. So employee we have a department number 10. Okay, if I try to delete this department number from department table, it will not allow me because there are already corresponding rows in employee. There will be a data inconsistency. Please make sure that you have follow the constraint rules. Okay, something like that. A message will come. Okay. Now what I will do is since department number is 10 is here, if I try to delete this 10, it will not allow me because for with 10 there are already employees here. Okay. Now give me 10 here. So let's check what it will do. Wait. So now see this message. So I'll copy paste it here for your reference. Okay. Failed on update or delete by foreign key constraint violation. So failed on table department number with error on delete update action. While on refreshing table AOH. So this is the kind of error we'll get. Okay. This is a simple example that I have shown here. So any doubts so far? So we have seen on delete cascade, on delete restrict in global versus global temple comment sequences. I will cover up in the coming session. So Shankar, are you good? Any doubts? Okay, fine. So we'll take 10 minutes break and I will come back and we'll start with global versus local temporary tables and comments and sequences. Yes, Shankar, we have to try. By looking it looks simple. By practice only you'll get more clarification. I know it will be little confusing while listening to all this cascade, restrict and all. When you do practically and you see and you experience, then you will get clarity. Okay. Okay, I will stop the recording. We'll see in 10 minutes.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, so in this session, we'll see what is a global temporary table and local temporary table, and also we'll see what are comments and all. So before with that, I forgot to show one more, just a small example on constraints. Let me show that one also. So far we have seen foreign key, primary key constraints, right? Let's say I want to keep conditions on column. Like I don't want to enter specific values to particular column. Let's say there is an employee ID. I want employee IDs between only 10 to 100. Okay. So it's very small example. So I'll create a very simple table. Create column table with what I will say. So what I'll say sample tables. This is a very simple example. So I'll give it as some name. So our employee ID like this only, which is integer type. So what I will mention is check employee ID between 10 to 10 and 100. Simple. This is a simple constraint that we can keep apart from foreign key and primary key. So what we will do is while inserting the data into uh, this table sample with employee ID, so there itself it will check if the value is between 100 or not. Okay, let me execute this first F8. So my table has been created. Now let me check if this will be shown in constraint table. So I will remove this referential because it is a normal constraint. I will say my table sample. This is a schema F8. So I can see schema. There is a one entry for this particular table. Is primary key false? We did not keep any primary key. Is unique key? We did not keep anything. But there is a check condition. Here you can see employee ID between 10 and 100. So this is a check condition that we have kept on this particular table. This is a very simple example just for our information. So if I try to insert into sample, first 10 I will insert. Okay, F8. So insert into table values F8. What it is saying, feature not supported, new expressions only. Only comparison condition for DML is supported. Okay. So I think this version it is not supporting here. If I'm trying to insert into values, what it is saying, only comparison conditions are supported when we are doing DML. That's strange. Let me put this way. Check employee ID greater than or equal to 10 and less than or equal to 100. So I'll give it as another column. So another table, F8. Sample 1 is already there it seems. Cannot use duplicate column name. So, column name, okay. Table name. So let me check if we have this. Refresh. So I don't see anything here, but it is still saying duplicates. Okay. My editor has changed. Sorry about that. Let me set this. Let me erase all these things and let me create another table. Create column table, cheese check table, and I will say so employee ID integer check EMB ID between 10 and 100. Let me execute this. Fate. Okay, it is created. Now if I try to insert into check table values, I'll say 10. Okay, 10 it is taking. So for column table, it is not supporting in this version. So I have created a row table. Okay, so when I'm trying to insert 10, okay, it is taking. Let insert into check values. I will enter more than 100 on not one. Let's see. So check constraint violated here. Okay, this is the error that we will get. So this is how you can impose conditions on a specific columns for this one. So if I try to insert 9 also, it should not allow because it should be between, right, 10 to 100. So this will also throw an error. This is just a simple example that I wanted to show. Okay, now let's get back to our other topics. Comments versus sequence and global temporary versus local temporary tables. So you can also explore, we can keep different conditions here apart from this. So try exploring these other options also before you're good with this node. Okay, now we'll start with
Where can we check the check constraints? Check constraints store in which table?
the same table that I shown right just now.
Same table. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, constraint table. I think I have shown right just now. Did I?
Yes, but it was like written that it's only for checking primary constraints, and another reference underscore constraints table is for checking foreign key constraints. So I wanted to know that check constraints also store in the same table constraints or
Yeah,
dif-
same table. So I will execute this. See,
okay, okay.
I have shown this. Okay, so this is where primary key will be false, unique key will be false, check condition will be shown on this particular column table. So this is a column EMPID.
Okay.
Okay, check constraint information. Okay, now we'll see global and temporary. So before that, so have you guys ever created a global structure in ABAP? Right, in SC11 we'll create structure, right? So when you create a structure in SC11, will that definition, that means what are the columns you created, will it be available for everyone?
Yes.
Yes. So same here, a global definition also. But what about the data? If I try to insert some data, so it will be available only during that session, right? If I insert any data in that row. So similarly, in HANA SQL also, we have global temporary table. So that whenever you create a global temporary table, the definition will be available to everyone. But the data is specific to the session, specific to the current session. So we can imagine this as a global temporary table. In SC level, we can create temporary tables also, right? Table types, global table types. So similarly, this is the one. So the definition will be available, but the data is available only during the session. So when it comes to local temporary, we have a temporary tables in local tables, temporary tables. So when you define, so in ABAP you define types, LTY, local types, right? So the definition will be only specific to that program, right? It will not be available to anyone. So here also definition and data of the table available only in current session. Clear? So this is very similar to our ABAP, global tables and local temporary tables in ABAP. So we define GT underscore tables in ABAP. Sorry, in SC11 we'll define table types that will be visible to everyone. But when you keep information in the program, it will be available only during runtime. Here also same thing. So local temporary we define in ABAP, we say LT underscore ABAP type table of something we'll mention, right? VBAK. So when you insert any data into LTA VBAK, it will be specific to that session. At the same time, whatever the columns you had defined in this local temporary will be specific to that program itself. We cannot access those internal tables and outside program. So similarly, same here. Clear? So we'll see if you okay how to create this global temporary table. So what I will say, create. Normally when you create table, what you say, create table. So now I want to create global temporary table. I simply specify global temporary table. So if you want to create row, you can say row, or if you want to create column, so I will say column temporary table. So my table global EMP. Okay, I'll specify like this. So rest is same. However you want to define, you can define. So what I will do is create employee ID integer. I'll make this as primary key, and I will say EMP name varchar 20. Let me execute this. So whenever you create a global temporary table, we cannot create a temporary table with primary key. So this is one thing we need to keep in mind. Cannot create primary key. Okay, so what I will do is I will create without a key. Now let me try this. I'll remove this primary key and I will execute this again. Effect. So I have created a global temporary table. So as I said, the definition will be available to everyone. So that means I should be able to see these columns if I want to access anywhere. So let me refresh if the table will come under here. So I have refreshed. So if I check under my table section, since I said this should be visible to everyone, the definition it should be here. Okay, yes. So G underscore EMP is a global table. So let me open this definition. So you can see table name, OH and column store. So how it is different from a normal table? So as I said earlier, when we insert any data into normal table, we can access the data in anywhere, right? But whereas if I insert data into global temporary table, I'll insert into G underscore, let me show EMP values as I 10 Ravi. Okay, I'll insert some data here. Okay, so this data will be, as I said earlier, it will be specific to this session, this console which I opened. So session in the sense this is a console currently that I am doing the processing. So this is one session. So let me do a select on this. Select star from G underscore EMP effect. So data is within this session, so it is available. Now what I will do is I will open another session and I'll check, try to access this table information and see if I would be able to get that information. So what I will do is I will open another SQL editor. So I'll check my schema, select my schema and I click on open SQL console. Okay, it has opened. So you see current schema is AOH. So where I have inserted the data, I have inserted data in this session. So if I go back to this session, okay, I will try to access the same data. Select star from G underscore EMP. So I will do F8. See, that information is not available in this session. So this is the difference between a normal table and a global temporary table. So normal table data will be visible to anyone. So here I can access just by doing select star anywhere. But global table, whenever you insert the data, it will be specific to that column. So if I check here, it will be available here. But whereas here, there is no information. Here I have the information. Okay. This data is specific to this session. If you try to open in different session, won't be visible. Data won't be visible. Okay. This is about global temporary tables. Now I'll see local temporary tables. I'll show example on local temporary. Similarly, however we have created, so local temporary table also same thing we can do. I'll just keep the same here. So what I will say, local temporary table. Local temporary table. Here we need to observe one thing. So what I will do, I'll say this is local, right? I will say L, just some random name. Let me try to execute this if this allow me to create or not. Create local temporary column table effect. So there is one rule we need to follow to creation of a local temporary table. The rule is local temporary table name must be start with hash. So whenever you create a local temporary table, it should start with hash itself. So that system will identify that this is a local temporary table. Okay. So this will give an error, and also we cannot specify keys also, and also at the same time the table name should start with hash. This is one rule we need to follow. So I will simply copy paste here. I will say hash. Now I will try to create F8. So local temporary table is here. So what is a local temporary table? The definition also will not be available here. It will not come here even if I refresh here. This is similar to internal table that we create in our ABAP programs. Okay, where we specify types, begin of our table definition, and we'll insert data. As soon as as soon as we finish running that program, the table data will be destroyed, and the definition also will not be visible to others. So I don't see L_EMP here. So I will insert. So first point is clear. The definition also won't be visible. Yes, I don't see here. Now what I will do, I will insert some values to this table. F8. So data inserted. I will select some data from here. Hash L_EMP and do F8. Okay, so data is available in this session only, and the definition also will available in this session only. We cannot see it as globally. Now we'll try to access the same from this in a different session. So what I will do is I'll say hash L. If I try to execute this, what it is saying, could not find table view underscore LMP underscore. So since this definition is itself not available globally, it is not even able to identify where it is. So it is only specific to this session. So internally only I can see the data and also the definition I would be able to access. Here I cannot even access the data. Okay. So this is a difference between table. Table definition is available to everyone and the data is available to everyone. Whereas global temporary table definition is available to everyone but not the data. Whereas local temporary, either data or the definition will not be able to everyone, not available to everyone. Global and local temporary tables are only data is only specific to the current sessions. Hope you are all clear. Any questions? Okay. So now we'll see about comments. So comments is a very simple topic. So when we are creating employee IDs, column names, tables, we are not specifying the description for a column or anything. So whereas in SC11 in ABAP, we can give description to each column and also table, right? Here, how we do is we use comments here. So what I will do, how we can give a description, you simply say comment on table. Okay, so let's take our employee table. So EMP, I'll say EMP is employee details. This is a very simple topic. This is how you can comment on a particular table. So if I go to EMP here, definition, So this is the information that I have. There is no comment specific to columns here. Okay. So I will do comment on columns also. How can I do that? Simply specify comment on column. Okay. So for which column you want to do? In employee table. For this column I want to do. What is a column name? Let me check. EMP ID. So I will say employee ID. So if I do, yes, comment is nothing but a short description. So we do comment on column emp.empid, so F8. So I have given a description to this particular column. If I go back here and refresh, so I can see the comment for this particular column. In this way, you can do comments. Okay, it's a very simple one. So you can do comment on table and also on column. The next one is sequences. This is important. Please try to pay attention. It is very widely used in real time. Sequences. So before I discuss about this, I have a question. Any one of you can answer. Are you guys familiar with what to call SNRO object in ABAP? Yeah, what it does as a SNRO object? Number range. Okay. So what it will do is whenever you try to insert, if you use that SNRO range, it will automatically generate a number for you, right? Instead of you inserting employee ID manually, right? So in HANA also we have one concept called sequences. What it will do is it will generate a random number for us. If you see when I'm
Example,
inserting,
yeah, yeah. For example, when we create PO, so it is automatically generate the PO number like that. Yeah.
yeah, similar,
Okay.
same thing. So
Okay.
if you want to create the similar thing, when you insert an employee, you want to automatically generate the number, we create sequences. Okay. So how do we create sequences? So simple definition, I will show how to create a sequence and how to use that. Then we'll wind up this session. Okay. So how do you create? So same thing, create sequence. So I will name my sequence, and so where it has to start with, I will mention it should start with 10, my employee ID, and how many values you want to increase for the next number. So I will say increment by, let's go just increment by 1, so 10, 11, 12, like that. Okay, when you are generating. So I can also specify minimum value, which is 10. So it always, at least it start with 10, and it also the minimum value should be 10, and up to how many values it can go. I'll specify as many as I want. So I'll say cash, which is 10. Okay, so start with 10. That means this sequence should always start with 10, and it will increment by 1. The minimum value should be 10, and also maximum value should be this much. I have mentioned 1 lakh. So cache is nothing but, so whenever it is generating the numbers, it will keep the next 10 numbers in memory for a faster access. So nothing special. So whenever you're trying to generate a number, the next 10 numbers will be automatically available in the memory itself, just for a faster access. So cache stores the next 10 numbers in a buffer for faster access. Now how
Cache we
I,
can, And sorry again, for cache 10 is there, we can give any number 10, 12, 20 like that.
Yes, how many numbers you want to keep it in the
Okay,
memory.
okay.
So okay, better to keep a minimum number, and so that it will not create burden on memory. Okay. So now how do we access this value? So let me, so if we go back to our employee table, we have already up to 1, 4, 6, 10 employees. Now I want to insert the data, but I don't want to insert manually 11, 12, 13. So I just want to use the sequence so that it will generate the number for me. So how I can do this is, so while inserting values into EMP, so I'll mention my sequence. Okay. How do I access a value from here? You just simply specify next val. So it will take the next value. So it will start with 10. So 10 is already there. Okay. So I will try to insert with that only. So what I will say, employee ID, employee name, and department number 10. So let me try to insert the data. So when I type my sequence dot next value, so my sequence is my sequence name. Next value, it will access it will generate the number starting with 10. But already 10 is available in my system. Sorry, I think I have not executed this. That's why it's showing error, invalid sequence, my sequence. Let me execute this before we start. Effect. Okay, my create sequence has created successfully. So where can I see that? So on the left side, we have a folder called sequences, so which will hold all the information related to this sequence. Okay, and I right click, open definition. So this is the information that it is showing here. 10 start with whatever the values that I have specified. This one. So now if I try to, now let me execute this effect. So it should give me unique constraint violated. So it has generated value 10 because it had to start with 10. Why it is saying unique constraint violated? Because there is already an employee ID with 10. Now let me copy here. So 10 is already generated. Now again when I use the same next val, what it will generate? The next number will be 11. F8. So now the data will be inserted successfully. Now if I go back to my employee table, so if I do the refresh, I can see the value as 11. So this is how I can use the sequences. So if I try to keep on inserting the data, so let me show there itself. So if I again execute this, the next number will be 12. So data will be inserted here. So it keep on will increase the value till it reaches the maximum value. So if I do again, and it will generate the number. So you don't have to worry about unique constraint violation. So it is always better when you're inserting a data, use sequence. So in real time, we do not enter the data. So it is always system generated number. So we have to define a sequence.
Do they have identity concept like in SQL here? Like, is it similar to identity concept?
Identity concept in
SQL, they have like for this automatic generation of the column values, right? In SQL.
I'm not aware of that concept. I haven't.
Okay.
Yeah. So I have not gone through. You mean MS SQL or what? What is that?
Mm, like in SQL here, Actually, so many things are similar to SQL.
Yeah.
Like when we
Yes.
create this create table, that time, we give the characteristics for the columns like integer and
Yeah.
primary. So same way in SQL, they have like if you write identity, so it will create a seed and it will
Yes.
increment. So you don't have to pass the values for that particular column.
Yeah.
Uh,
Then it is same here.
yeah, so here it
So
looks same.
here we have SQL, right? Different DB specific SQLs are there. No matter which SQL, most of the concepts are similar,
Right.
but the syntax says then the terms they use will be different, and the features also will vary depends on the database.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So this is
Yeah,
about
and again,
yeah.
I didn't get how 12, 13 means same line of code you are executing. That's why it is coming, or how it is coming 11, 12, 13.
See, not you do not see it as a lines of code. It's you see in the perspective of execution. So when I say next val, it is already generated. When I'm doing the same thing, okay, the next val number will be generated. So it depends on the number of times you are executing. I can also do like this also, keep on increasing, and I can insert the data here also like this. If I do F8, so it will line by line, it will execute, but the number generation will be same. So if I do refresh, 13, 14, 15, 16. Just for our example, I am executing the same thing here. Okay.
Okay, same line when we execute the number of execution. For example, I am executing 5 times, so 5 times like that. Then it will continue 13, 14, 15, 16 like that.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, so we have to track my execution number of execution.
Why do you want to track?
So for example, I want number range till 20 or 30 means how many
Mhm.
times I have executed.
You can always see like this, right? You want to so till which number it has generated numbers.
Is still 10,000 max value you have given. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me try. So you want to know the current value where it has been generated. Now what is the current value of sequence?
Yeah.
Let me give a try if I can get sequence. Yeah, you can see like this. You simply specify the sequence number dot current value till which point it has generated.
Okay, and what is the dummy we have used earlier? Dummy.
No, it's a very simple thing. So dummy is similar to it will create a small memory at the memory level. So dummy is nothing but so to dynamically generate some memory. So what normally we specify table or anything, right?
Okay.
Since it is an independent object, I just simply say I will allocate some dummy value from that. Give me this value.
Okay, fine,
So
correct.
when there is no specific thing, you can just simply specify dummy, right?
Okay.
So this is how you can see current value. F8. Even if I execute again, so it will show the same number because till here the number has generated. Now, so let me try this way. My sequence dot next val from dummy. It is saying invalid identifier sequence next val F8. The thing is here the next value generated 18. Now if I again go back to this and copy paste this current val, so it should get 18, right? So
Now
to
again,
get
you've shown us these global temporary table and local temporary table. So can we have the loop operations also as we do in ABAP here? How we can do perform the operations on the internal table? Sorry, temporary tables.
Yes, we can do. Going forward, we'll see.
Okay.
That is
I
also
think
in
for
our
that,
syllabus.
yeah, I mean, that will be in our syllabus. So I think that for that, I think inline declaration is there by using at the rate, correct?
That is OpenSQL. It's not
Okay,
related to SAP HANA SQL. So,
okay,
yeah, we'll show. We can also create dynamic tables.
okay.
Okay, so any other
Yeah,
doubts?
and again, yeah, one question, for example, whenever we are doing in Eclipse, so we are selecting the lines of code, then we are executing. For
Yes,
example, when we are doing in SE38, we are completely executing the complete code. So how
yes,
it is means only we are selecting, then we are executing. I think it means small examples. That's why we are using select means selecting the complete code, then we are executing. Or if
hmm,
there is my complete program, then I can execute complete line of code at once. How it
yes.
is?
So usually the reason why I'm showing it in console is to get familiar with all the concepts. Once we are familiar with all the concept, so we'll see procedures. So whatever you do, whatever the concept that you learn, whatever the logic that you define, right, will be defined in a procedure between begin and end block. So here we'll write our logic and it can be executed. When I call that procedure, the entire data logic will be executed. So in our ABAP, we have SE38 programs, right? So in SAP HANA SQL, we have procedures. So inside procedures, we'll write whatever the logic we want.
Okay, so in real time means uh, we will execute our complete code rather than executing
Yes,
a single. Yeah, okay, fine.
we'll create everything in procedure and we'll call that procedure. In ABAP, we'll create everything in a program. We'll call that, we'll execute that program, right? Same thing.
Okay, yeah, okay, fine. And one more question on line number 239 on delete restrict is a optional keyword whether we will use it or not.
Yes,
239. Okay,
optional one. By default, it will be on delete restrict.
okay.
So any other doubts, Mansi?
I just want to explore more. Why they are using SQL now? Everything they are trying to do in SQL.
This is SAP HANA SQL. So as I said earlier, right, we will execute the entire logic in a DB itself. So this is a DB specific language.
Right.
So it will, since HANA is capable of handling a huge amount of burden, so whatever the logic we write will be directly executed on SAP HANA. So how will SAP HANA will understand is we have to know SAP HANA SQL. That's why we will learning SAP HANA SQL.
Yes, yes. Before also we were writing OpenSQL and then there was a database interface which was converting into
Yes,
native SQL. So,
yes.
okay, makes sense.
So here this is a native SQL for SAP HANA specific.
Okay,
Yeah. So whatever we are learning this SQL, right, SAP HANA SQL, we'll do that in directly in ABAP in the form of AMDPs and all. So we have to learn this. We cannot directly write. If you want to directly interact with the HANA DB from ABAP, we have to write in SAP HANA SQL language only.
so for
OpenSQL we
writing,
cannot use.
so for writing AMDPs, do we have clear concepts on OOPS or
Basics are enough, not
basics?
much complicated. Yeah,
Okay,
how to call a method, how to implement a method. That's it.
okay.
Yeah. Okay. So are we good? If you're good, I will stop the recording. So Shankar, any doubts? Shankar, you stay back. We'll see your issue. And Mansi, you can drop off if you don't have any doubts.